Oh, hello there, Outliers. Niiamah Ashong here, and thank you so much for letting us be a part of your journey. We have an incredible roundtable set out for you because I'm joined by none other than Andrea Gold. Andrea, thank you so much for making time for this conversation, and more importantly, I just want to really acknowledge you for the experience and the work that you put in up until this point here. Like the reason we're talking is because you have decided to be amazing in life, and just keep finding new ways to keep elevating that. And I'm excited to bring you
Thank
onto
you.
the platform and grow from there.
Appreciate it. Glad to
Yeah.
be here.
Well, I'm glad you're here as well. Would you mind letting Andrea? Would you mind letting Outliers know more about you and the game that you're playing?
Well, the game I'm playing is exactly the right question, and you did not know this, but the book I'm really in transition. I have a speakers bureau for 36 years, almost 37 now, and I'm going to keep that, but I'm also writing a book. I'm an author already, but this book is for everybody who wants to do very well in life and enjoy life in the process. And it's all about the game of life. So it's a perfect question. So that's where I'm at right now. What more would you like to know about that?
Oh, I'd like to know a lot about you already wrote a book. You've had a successful career in something, and now you're stepping out and you're creating something here to help people play the game of life like in a more unlocked, more awakened way. Is that right?
Yes, and I can tell you why.
Yeah, let's jump into that. I'm curious.
When I look around, I see people that they are so earnest about getting the most out of life and doing well and being successful. And that's more than just financially successful, although that's the main focus for most people. But there's a lot more to life than they realize. That's one of my favorite phrases. There's a lot more to life than they realize. And it's just ignorance because nobody has taught them. And the reason nobody's taught them is because a lot of people haven't invested the time to work on themselves, to know some of the inner truths that they could take into their daily lives. For me, I call myself kind of spiritual, but really I'm very practical. I'm not into the airy fairy. I want to take whatever I learn and use it in this world because that's why we're here. We're in a 3D world so we can create and play and use what we have. So discover possibilities. So there's so much I could say about this. I am
Yeah.
overwhelmed just thinking about it.
Well, and I look and I listen for those kind of things, right? So you'll hear me talk about this. I'm often like if it can be if it sounds like it's a bumper sticker or it sounds like it came from Chat GPT, like I'm out. I used to be like if you can Google it
No,
nowadays, yeah,
no chat
right.
GPT. I'm the real
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah, exactly. And like I can see that. I can I can see how your whole being comes alive with it, right? Now so you have you have like a more, how do I say it? It's a relatively unique take on things, right? And I can
Yeah,
imagine that people in your world have known you. You said you're going on 37 years and in this incredible business that you've had behind you and such, right?
right.
And now you've written a book. Was your book in
It's a
relation to
business book. The book
yeah.
I've written a few, and
Yeah.
even a few children's books that were about values in education. So
Okay,
that's
okay.
another thing, and that came with music too. My husband was involved, but that was long ago, and I'm still
Mm,
a kid at heart. So
yeah. Oh, I
I
love
hope
this
I
here.
never lose that.
I'm curious about the one the decision to pursue this, right? Because you're you've been in your business for a while. You're solid in there.
Yeah.
And yet it feels like you hey, you have something that right now you want to bring out into the world. I'm curious about why that decision? Why now?
Okay. Well, the why now is before I die. It's like do it while you can. I've had a lot of experience, and I have 36, almost 37 years of doing the bureau, and I love the bureau. I love the people I work with. I meet all kinds of people. I'm always learning. But the thing is, it's more of the same. So I've succeeded in that area, and I have a passion to share some other information myself. Now, you would think, oh, she's angling to be a speaker. I'm not necessarily angling to be a speaker. I do have a saying that if God wants me to speak, then he will give me the words. That I didn't train myself to be in front of the public. I've been behind the scenes all these years, except for sharing, with the book occasionally. So it's really a passion and a vision to share this information that will make people's lives better. And I'm talking about the ones that are searching. Not everybody's searching for a change. Not everybody wants to make a change, and I honor that. But I can tell you, I guess this goes back to the beginning when I was searching. So that part you don't know about. You know a little about me, but I was searching and I didn't realize it for a long time. I didn't want to just climb the career ladder like everybody else. I was an A student. My guidance counselor wanted me to go to, some fancy university. I didn't. I ended up going to a environmental learn by doing kind of school in Arizona. And then that closed during tough economic times. And I ended up going to a regular university, and I ended up hiking the Grand Canyon many times and doing all kinds of adventurous things that I never thought I would. And then I was searching for something more. And that started actually as a teenager. And it evolved into moving all over the country and taking all kinds of jobs, which was great because I got to meet so many people and I learned so many things. And, from being a paralegal fill-in to an editorial fill-in New York City, I did temp jobs occasionally, to editing Navy ship manuals with low security clearance. Oh, that was really dry. Um,
I'd love this here because it's like because you can't really expect it's like I would think it's like um it might be surprising but not unexpected. Like I'm like, oh wow, like that everything every time that you go to the next thing, I'm like, yep, didn't like
Oh, there's a lot
yeah,
of
what
new things. If
yeah,
you look
yeah,
at my LinkedIn profile, there's like a list. I called myself Woman of the World because it wasn't just one thing. I was always
yeah.
trying something new. I was restless. I was searching. I was looking for meaning in life. I was looking for, what
Oh,
am I
okay.
here for? I mean, we all do. I call this the invisible hunger, and we all have it. And some people find their answer through sex, some people find it through eating, some people get very ardent about religion. Everybody, there's all different ways to try to fulfill that emptiness inside of you. That's what I felt, that empty hole. I called it a hole in my heart, and I
Mm.
had that for a long time. And everything I did, it was like distracting. We all do distractions, and we think that we found it, and then, it kind of fades away and it doesn't work anymore. And we're looking again, and we all do it. We all do it. That's because we don't have a foundation, we don't have the awareness of what life really is. And because I've gone through all this, I'm not saying I'm the guru and I'm not saying I'm enlightened, but I will say I've worked really hard on myself to find out more about, what life is about. And I've been guided to teachers. When you start searching, even those listening here today were guided to be here, to hear this. When you're searching, you're looking for something more out of life, and it will attract to you what you need at that point in your life. That's one thing I've learned. So I had teachers along the way, all different kinds of teachers. And you wouldn't call them teachers, but it's like a work situation in Florida where 24/7 you had to really be aware of your emotions, your thoughts, your beliefs. And if I ever went off, if I was feeling angry or depressed or something, this family I lived with, I lived in an Airstream trailer behind the property and worked with them. Unique situation. They would say, "You're broadcasting," and oh my God, it was horrible. I became very paranoid about my own energy and emotions, but it made me very aware that, oh, I'm not happy. I had a realization one day, and maybe some of you can relate to this. I realized one day that I never wanted to be born. I, I was punching my pillow and I was crying, and then I got over it and I realized, there's more to life than just being depressed. You can make a choice here. And I did. I went through periods of up and down, and I think most people can relate to that. But there's tools that you could use, and there's realizations that you could have that gives you a different perspective about life. So I'm very passionate about this because it's really the only thing that works. You
Yeah.
could go to a
Yeah.
therapist and they're great. They can help make you aware. But the teacher, your progress is only as good as the teacher. So the teacher has to be aware too. So
This
I'm
is
always learning. I mean, it never stops. So, it's like tomorrow I'm going to be more aware. That's something I look for. It takes energy and effort, and I try to associate with the right people who are going to reinforce that. Like what you do as a coach is very reinforcing to helping people progress along and to get in touch with what they really want to do with their lives and while they can. So,
There's this element that's in there where you're like wow, they can. I want to like I want to make sure I get to that part too, Andrea. It also dawned on me as you were talking that like when you said like my book is for all the searchers out there. It's like searchers with a capital S. Like the same way
yeah.
it's like mine is I talk to all the outliers out there, but it's outliers with a capital L. You know what I mean? It's not just like the word. So you like it's like for those who search, those who are searching for more, and they might have found themselves bouncing through all these different things. And yeah, I had something when I was out in Singapore where I would meet a lot of people who were outliers, and like what was happening was there was that like they would live a life in like let's say India, and then like they would get to like whatever the hypothetical max was that like their body could handle, and then they're like, I gotta leave here, and they would
Uh,
just go restart it like in like Australia. So it was like a really cool life overall, but it was
yeah.
like the same life lived like every 4 years
Yeah, and
over and
that's a
over again.
trap. That
Yeah.
I actually was distracting myself. All the moving I did. I just, I was searching and I didn't know how to move from where I was. Little by little, I did. Thank goodness for, especially my husband. He's been my greatest teacher. He's very spiritual. He's very aware. We have a great relationship because we share that passion, and we both
Nice.
write books to help people. So,
Yeah.
and he
No,
helped me
that's
with the bureau. We actually worked together. So, but anyway, the searching, you have to be aware that you're searching. And once you're aware that you're not happy where you're at, then you could take the next step.
so. I'm
But
gonna
if
ask
you,
outliers real quick here on this one here, right? I want you to take a pause right now, like think for yourself right now, and check in, because this searching element here, like at least from my past experience, it's like it can be a little difficult to actually know whether or not you're like it can be hard. Not you said the word awareness, right? It's
right, that's key.
let's use this as like an awareness check right now. Like think about the last 3 years of your life. Think about the times where you're feeling restless or what it is that you're going for, and ask yourself the question. What's a question that I don't know why I keep saying Andrea instead of outlier. What's the question that an outlier can ask themselves if they wanted to check for themselves and just see like like either what they are searching for or if they're showing up as a searcher right now.
So you mean, if I get you right, what you're saying is, what's my current state? Am I happy where I'm at, or am I searching and I don't realize it? Is that what you're asking?
I like that the way that you interpreted it. Yeah, I think I think that's it. I think there's an element of it where it was just really like under the radar. for me when I was recognizing it, like, oh, people, it looks really good and flashy on the surface, but they're
Yeah.
living the same life 4 years over and over
Yeah,
again.
that's
And,
I call
and it's not
that the
like
comfort zone.
the comfort zone, right? And it's not like I think there is something really awesome about going from like
Yeah.
one place or not. Like even us coming, so my wife and I were in New York, then we moved to Singapore, and then like we're now in San Diego, and a lot of times people are like, oh, so you came back to the States? I'm like, no, we came forward to the States, you
Yeah,
know?
you're different. You're totally different person, different
Exactly.
experience.
And
Yeah.
it's time to have a different experience. Like we
Right.
weren't it wasn't like something was missing and we're searching for it here. So I just want to just kind of like see if there's like anything that you have, anything that comes to mind of anyone who, because outliers out here, like we're gonna be the multi hyphenate people. We're gonna be the ones with multiple jobs, multiple places to live, like
Yeah.
all these things. Like we've
All
done
great.
incredible things. But like if there was someone out if there was something you can have as a distinction for anyone to just like get that clarity as like, okay, are you actually happy or are you doing it because you're searching? What's the question? What's the way that you might help them see that?
Okay, that's a guru question, but I'll give you my best.
Yeah.
The main thing is most people are searching for more money, which really is security, and so they could enjoy their lives a little more, whatever. But the thing is, how much money do you need, and what happens after you get that money?
Mm.
So I've had a chance to experience that, and it's like, okay, so are you working? What's the purpose of your life? Are you clear about clarity? Is a great word because that goes along with awareness. It's they're hand in hand. Are you clear about why you're here and what's your purpose in life? I mean, that can change along the line. I asked a friend that, and she was like, I don't have a purpose and I don't need one. Okay, everybody to their own. But the thing is, she's so much talent and so much ability, and actually her resources financially are not great. So it's like, could you have done better? And could you still make changes? But she doesn't want to make changes. So if you're, what I tell people is if you're happy where you're at, then you're not going to feel motivated to, want to make any changes. But the person who is probably the most fulfilled is the one who is willing to consider new possibilities. It's really important. That's an important part of the book I'm writing. To learn from your mistakes, to enjoy your life, and then to discover new possibilities. Don't stay where you are. So, are you happy? That's really a very personal question. You're going to answer that based on your belief system.
So now, Andrea, I want to ask you a question, and this is a question that, like, if I don't ask it now, I'm gonna be thinking about it for a little while, right?
Okay, ask me.
Uh, and it's
Let's
just
see
like,
what I do with it.
well, yeah, that's like I like that, right? Because like
Yeah.
I had asked you just this question before, the one that you just responded, and you said, okay, that's a guru question, but I'll do my best with it, right? What's a guru question to you? Like, because like,
What's a guru question?
yeah, 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 like, what's the
Okay.
distinction there? Like, you didn't just say like it's just a question. You're like, that's a guru question. I was like, okay, what does that mean? And
Well,
why is it
first of all,
significant?
a guru is a teacher. That's an Indian word.
Yeah,
It means teacher.
yeah,
I'm not posing as a teacher,
uh,
but I'm guessing, just by wanting to share this information, I'm a teacher.
yeah,
And I'm okay with that, whatever it is. The main thing is that you take responsibility for your own growth. I will give you ideas, pathways, measurements, exercises, things I've learned along the way. And then you can take it wherever you want to take it because it's your life. And one thing I ask is, it's your life, what you gonna do with it?
yeah.
And if you, like my friend, I mean, if you want to sit and watch TV, that's fine. I honor that. But there's a lot more to life than you realize. A lot more to life. And there's your inner power that you may not have even activated. You don't even know about that side of life. I could tell you miracle stories, lots of miracles I've had. People think that's like a once in a lifetime if you even have one. Oh, or maybe you're not qualified to even get one. But actually, miracles happen all the time. It's really a part of life. And the more that you open up to the possibilities, the more you're going to see these miracles in life. Some of them you write off as coincidences. Like just even you and I being connected, I consider a miracle of sorts. You know, you're guided. There's so much more to the universe that you can't see. You know, if you're an energy being and the universe is energy, you know, there's things happening that you can't see. And just because you can't see it with your limited senses doesn't mean it's not happening. And
You know,
that's opening your mind to new possibilities right there.
there's two things that are coming to mind when you talk about the miracles. One of them is like the like that realization you had where you're like, I didn't ask to be here, you
Yeah,
know? And I'm like, yeah, just like our whole existence is like it's a miracle in that regard here.
it
It's like
is.
like what it actually took and like for us to be able to do this and to be here. And just small things like we're talking right now on Zoom. I keep things really simple, but like somehow you're out somewhere in the world and you are having a conversation here and I'm hearing you in more or less real time based on bits and bytes that I go like, transferring through and so on and so forth. And I'm like, like the point that you like to me that element of like you're surrounded by miracles, like that, and they're happening basically all the time, all around you. If you're choosing to look for them, it it just feels really profound. Um, and it's like really accessible too. I think we're just so used to miracles around us that we don't recognize
We
how
don't
much
recognize.
they are.
You're so right. I could tell you miracle. You want to hear a miracle
Yeah,
story?
tell me one. Tell me
I
one.
have a lot of them, but
Yeah.
here's a fun one. I mean, remember, I like to take the inner stuff that you can't see and make it real, you know, the in your daily life. So, you know, it's not just for those special people. You are the special people, each one of you. So, I was on a hostel trip when I was 16 where we rode bicycles in Western Canada and the Canadian Rockies. And I could tell you all kinds of stories about bears, and but the interesting one was I was at the end of the line, you know, with my little group. We were 16 teenagers, and we were in okay shape. I wasn't used to the altitude, and we were going up a 9% grade on a highway. It was the Trans Canadian Highway. And my 10-speed bike, I was down to gear 1 and it felt like gear 20 and I couldn't move anymore. I started walking my bike up the hill and it was getting dark and I was at the end of the line that day. I was in trouble and there was nobody who was going to come rescue me. We didn't have any vehicles. This was a 6-week hostel trip and we had our stuff on our bike, so it wasn't, you know, it was heavier than just me. And I measured my heart rate and it was 176 beats a minute. And I thought, am I going to die right here? You know, is this normal for a teenager? Anyway, I didn't know, but I was nervous about, you know, getting up that hill before it was dark because there's bears out there, you know, lions and tigers and bears.
Oh my.
Anyway, so I'm going up the hill wondering how I'm going to do this because I had a few miles to go. And all of a sudden, this guy comes along. This was in the 70s. So I was, you know, the clothing was different then. And he had on this real stretchy elastic stuff. And I've never seen any clothing like that back then. It's stuff you see in the Olympics or whatever, but it was like skin tight. He
Okay,
looked like a
like
professional.
spandex kind of thing. Like,
Yeah, it was
yeah,
spandex. It was like
yeah,
that, or like Under Armour kind of
yeah.
stuff. Anyway, this guy came up to me on a bike, and he commanded me. There was no fun talk. He said, "Get on your bike," and I'm like, total stranger. I had no idea of his name, so I could hardly get on my bike because you know to go up that hill and start pedaling took
Yeah.
energy. I was breathless,
Yeah.
but I did. I listened to him. There was no discussion, and he was on his bike and I was on my barely upright, and he took his hand, his right hand, and he put it on the back of my seat, and he pushed the two of us up the hill. I don't even know if that's physically possible. A 9% grade, no less. Is that possible? I don't know. That he actually pushed the two of us up. I was barely pedaling, just enough to keep us upright. So we get to the top, and before I could say thank you, I was so busy looking forward just to stay on, stay upright. He was gone. I don't, it was like he was there 1 minute and the next he was gone. And I have no idea who it was to this day. No idea what his face looked like, but I call him my bicycle angel.
Yeah.
And that's a real, that was amazing. And then I
Like,
got to the hostel, a very simple hostel without running water. That's where we were staying. And just so you know that there was an outhouse there, and I caught the hostel mother's kid was in the outhouse, ran in there when I went in there, and almost fell through the hole, but I caught him. So that's just a
that same
little,
night? Was it that same night?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
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 It was kind of
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. Well, like we're talking miracles here, right? So
Well,
like,
kind of
yeah.
fun. I mean, I think I saved his life from smothering in a terrible way. But
Yeah, I mean, like, let's be real. Like, I mean, the way, like that story there with the person that was coming here and pushing, you're like, how did it happen? And you're
yeah, how
like,
did that
how
happen?
did it happen? But it didn't put you back in a place to then go exactly at the right time to be
I
in
mean,
exactly
that
the right
was
place to go from there.
an isolated road, and he
Yeah,
just shows up and doesn't even talk to me, just get
get
on
on the
your bike.
bike. Yeah, let's go.
It's like an angel. And I
Yeah,
do believe there are angels. I never did, but I've asked them for help so much that I do.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
I could be a very corporate person, but
Mm,
you could bring this into your business, this kind of intuition, this trust, this faith. It's all part of you, and it makes you really powerful.
this is good. This is good here. Like, so, let's see. So I think
Oh,
like,
can I say one more thing? We
yes,
were
please.
talking about searching, and I want to say a few years ago, I had a realization. All of a sudden, it was like, I don't feel that empty hole in my heart anymore. I feel filled. It was very quiet and very gradual. But through all the things that I did with the learning and the teachers and the efforts, all of a sudden it was like, I'm not searching anymore. I mean, I'm growing. I will continue to grow. That's part of our nature, really. But I'm not searching. I'm not feeling that pain. And that was profound to realize
So
it was so quiet.
that I'm glad you shared that. I'm really glad you shared that there because I feel like it feels like a good place for us to start bringing this, wrapping up this conversation here. There's there's some element of this where I'm really glad that you shared it because I like it feels like a good place for us to like start wrapping up the conversation. But there's that component here of like what you're talking about. You know what it's like to be both a searcher and to have had that that actually
Ta-da!
filled.
It
Yeah,
was quiet, but
yeah.
yeah.
Well, which is cool too. Like that element of like it wasn't with fanfare. It wasn't like you didn't get someone showing up at your door and be like, Andrea, this is like it wasn't that. It was
Yeah,
a
there was
nice
no sign, and
yeah.
you made it.
And then
And I'm
then one
not
day,
saying it's enlightenment either, but I am saying it makes life a whole lot better because I look at life differently than maybe
yeah,
a lot of people do.
yeah.
And there's things you can do that will make your life so much better, and your work and your success in all ways. This it's profound. I mean, this is your life. What are you gonna do with it? And
I love it.
you have choices, you have options.
Well,
And
I'm glad.
Niiamah is going to tell you how to do it.
Well, we're gonna be working together. This is the cool part. Like I bring on people, I bring on movement leaders, right? There's a movement underneath this, but and thank you. Like I don't think you can help but be a teacher. You're at least a sharer. If you're not a teacher, like one of the things I get about you is like you're like I have things to share. I don't like sometimes I teach, but like I get the sense about you is that like you're constantly like very open, very excited by it, and very good at sharing out in the world.
Want to
So,
share? Want to
yeah,
share if you want to hear?
yeah. Well, I appreciate it. And Outliers here, we appreciate it as well. Andrea, what's the best way for Outliers to continue down the journey with you? If anyone wants to come in, either get your book, like get in touch with you, what's the best ways for them to do that?
Well, the book will be the beginning of this transitional journey. About the game of life. And you can get on my email list by emailing me. I don't have a whole automated thing at this point, but I will. Info at goldstars, stars.com. So that's info at goldstars.com if you want to get on the mailing list for recommendations about the book in the future so you could check it out. I just wish everybody so much success in all ways and that they live their life as fully as possible, especially while you can, because we will die. We're here for a short time and we want to play the game of life fully.
Well, Andrea, I appreciate that. What I would like to do here is in every single conversation, we have most of the conversation on behalf of the outliers out there so that they can also grow. However, the only reason I have this is how I change the world. These conversations we have here, right? I just left the conversation that made me think about what's the global conversation that's taking place, and underneath all this is an element of, to your point, I have a way of saying what you say, but it's kind of like we get this life, and like given that, what do you want to do with it? And so I'm curious for you. This is a question about for you, Andrea. Like, what's an insight? What's a takeaway that you are leaving this conversation for yourself with? How has this conversation actually been a benefit for you?
The way it's been a benefit is experience in sharing and seeing how what's coming out of me, organically, because I feel I'm guided to say certain things that will help people that are listening. It's not like I had a planned script, just a general idea. And I think that's really important that you come from your heart and not from just some mental attitude, that you get beyond just for me, that I get beyond just some belief or mental sentence, that it's coming from within and that it's flowing. And that's what it feels like. It's good experience. I think anybody on this call, on this podcast, watching, should get experience with social media and podcasts and all that, because if you want to get the word out about your work and what you're doing in your life, you really need to use these tools. And that's what it is for me, is a chance to share. And I'm really excited about it. And I love the vibe with this group and with your host. And I think it's wonderful. And I'm very grateful. Gratitude is a good thing.
We're grateful for you, Andrea. Thank you so much for not just making the time here, but for going on the journey of searching and then sharing. And then that's really it. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing here today, and for being you. Outliers, until the next time we all talk, be you on purpose. Journey on.